thing about gold is this. It will melt at 1,063 degrees. Unfortunately, it is not hot enough. As soon as we take the gold out of this furnace to pour it into this cast iron mould, that gold is going to become solid rapidly. We need as much time as possible to show you how things look and for you to have the opportunity to take your photo. So, the gold is actually will be at 1200 degrees Celsius. And if you think I'm dealing with a hot molten metal, you're quite correct. Which means I do have to ask you not to come any closer, of course. This doesn't take long. The gold is ready, ladies and gentlemen. So let's bring it out of there for you to see. Now, if you're wondering about 1200 degrees, have a look inside this crucible because that's what you're looking at. I can assure you this is an extremely high temperature. I can also assure you, ladies and gentlemen, if you weren't satisfied, if all the gold was out of there and you wanted to stick your hand in to find out if it was, feeling around, the only thing I can assure you you would be feeling would be excruciating pain as your fingers would be burnt off your hands. Now, of course, if there were school children here, I would give them the opportunity to lick the ball out. No, maybe not. All right. But that's how we do our job of purifying this gold, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, a very important, simple, lengthy, and dangerous job. But my story is not quite finished. You see, there is one final chapter. Coming to Sovereign Hill, I'm sure you would understand gold to be a very expensive metal, and if you want to describe gold, you're going to call it a precious metal, aren't you? But I also want you to understand gold is quite different to any other metal. Not because of its price, but because of what it does. For instance, gold is a very good conductor of heat. And because of that ability to conduct heat, this piece of gold has now dropped down to a temperature of 900 degrees. That has simply allowed the heat to pass through itself. Heat's gone into the base of the mould, which of course gives this gold a reason for that heat loss. It also becomes solid rapidly and is now quite solid. Solid, well that means I can take it out of this mould for you to see. So that's what I intend to do. So there it is. Now just to prove it is solid, I have a stick of wood. And realising at 900 degrees it does have to be just a bit warm, well hot. Just the heat coming out of the gold is the only thing setting that stick on fire. So yes, we still have to be extremely careful. I shall also point out that gold, if it is to lose heat, must have a reason. But at this moment there isn't any, and it will be 2 or 3 hours before I can safely handle this piece of gold. Well, of course we don't want to sit around here for 2 or 3 hours, do we? I mean, there's other things to see and do at Sovereign Hill. So, let's move along. Hopefully, by placing the gold into this tub of water that I must say that I've just noticed we have handy. What a coincidence.
Oh, right.
Yes. We'll see what happens. So while that sounds and looks like something is happening, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to point out that I have indeed taken this gold to a temperature of 1,200 degrees. And I do remember saying that once the gold was poured into this mould, that temperature would drop to 900 degrees. And a moment ago, at 900 degrees, place the gold into the water saying if it has a reason to lose heat that it will. And understanding that water cools, which means we now have a reason for that gold to lose its heat, doesn't it? It's all theory, isn't it? It's all very good. Yes, amazing. But I'm going to use a word now that I do love. However, 900 degrees, I will point out, is quite a lot of heat. So really what we have to ask ourselves is simply how fast can that gold lose 900 degrees of heat? And if it has done so and the heat has gone out of the gold bar into that water, can we then assume that the water is going to be at least warm? Yeah. Very good. But what's that old saying about you should never assume anything? Have things proved.